Baby, look at me. Mama love you. And I know you ain't no little boy no more, but you'll always be my baby. It seems like only yesterday I was holding you in my arms. Now look at you now, big man. But I worry about you. I worry about you all the time. Hanging out on the corner all times of night with the cruel people. Baby, that ain't nothing but trouble. I always taught you that you could have whatever you dream. Well, I want you to hold on to that dream, baby. Hold on to it real tight, 'cause the sky's the limit.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing tonight? I'd like to welcome to the stage the lyrically acclaimed. Ha. I like this young man because when he came out with the phrase, he went from ashy to classy. I like that. So everybody in the house, give a warm round of applause for the notorious B.I.G. The notorious B.I.G., ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for him, y'all. A nigga never been as broke as me. I like that. When I was young, I had 2 pair of leads. Besides that, the pinstripes and the gray. The one I wore on Mondays and Wednesdays. While niggas flirt, I'm sewing tigers on my shirt and alligators. You wanna see the inside? I see you later. Here come the drama. Oh, that's that nigga with the fake. Wow! Why you punch me in my face? Stay in your place. Play your position. Here come my intuition. Go in this nigga pocket. Rob him while his friends watching and hoes clocking. Here comes respect. His crew's your crew, or they might be next. Look at they man, big man, they never try, so we roll with them, stole with them. I mean loyalty. Niggas bought me milks at lunch. The milks with chocolate, the cookies, butter crunch, 88, Oshkosh, and blue and white duck. Ask the blood.
Sky is the limit, and you know that you keep on, just keep on pressing on. Sky is the limit, and you know that you can have what you want, be what you want. Sky is the limit, and you know that you keep on, just keep on pressing on. Sky is the limit, and you know that you can have what you want, be what you want, have what you want, be what you want.
I was ashamed, my crew was lame. I had enough heart for most of them, long as I got stuff for most of them soft. Even when I was wrong, I got my point across. They depicted me the boss. Of course, my orange box cutter make the world go round. Plus I'm fucking bitches ain't my homegirls now. Start stacking, dabbled in crack, gun packing. Nickname Medina, make the scenes, took my Nina. From gym class to in-glass, passed off for global. The only nigga with a mobile. Can't you see like total? Getting larger in waist and taste. Ain't no telling where this felon is heading. Just in case, keep a shell at the tip of your melon. Clear the space. Your brain was a terrible thing to waste. 88 on gates, snatch initial nameplates. Smoking splits with niggas. Real life beginner killers. Praying God forgive us for being sinners. Help us out.
Sky is the limit, and you know that you keep on, just keep on pressing on. Sky is the limit, and you know that you can have what you want, be what you want. Sky is the limit, and you know that you keep on, just keep on pressing on. Sky is the limit, and you know that you can have what you want, be what you want, have what you want, be what you want.
After realizing to master enterprise and I ain't have to be in school by 10, I then began to encounter with my counterparts on how to burn the block apart. Break it down into sections, drugs by these selections. Some use pipes, others use injections. Syringe sold separately, Frank the deputy quick to grab my Smith & Wesson like my dick was missing. To protect my position, my corner, my layer. While we out here, say the hustler's prayer. If the game shakes me or breaks me, I hope it makes me a better man. Take a better stand, put money in my mom's hand. Get my daughter this college plan, so she don't need no man. Stay far from timid, only make moves when your heart's in it. And live the phrase, sky's the limit. Motherfucker, see you chumps on top.
Sky is the limit, and you know that you keep on, just keep on pressing on. Sky is the limit, and you know that you can have what you want, be what you want. Sky is the limit, and you know that you keep on, just keep on pressing on. Sky is the limit, and you know that you can have what you want, be what you want. Sky is the limit, and you know that you keep on, just keep on pressing on. Sky is the limit, and you know that you can have what you want, be
At the end, you have people then who have a problem with lovability and are in constant need of reassurance. So what does this all imply? We don't have time to go into it all. What does it all imply? What does it roll out to be? It means then that if we are to transform the relationship between black males and black females and transform the nature of black life, period, we must transform the American system itself. Yeah, you can't get around that. Oh yeah, we have to if we are going to say that living in America, being black in America, creates a good deal of the problems that we have, then we must change America as a part of changing what? The problems. Now, it doesn't mean that we focus outside of ourselves, because one of the best ways of changing America is by what means? Changing ourselves. I've told you before that we are not only the creation of rights, we also create them. That they cannot be what they are unless we are what we are. And therefore, if we engage in self-transformation, we engage in the transformation of the nation and ultimately in the transformation of the world. This is what I'm saying again about an African-centered education, that more deeply than all, in terms of an African-centric education, is that we are not creating a revolution in America as much as we are creating a revolution in ourselves. But that revolution in ourselves is a revolution in America. And that's why we look at ourselves and transform ourselves. It means then that we must gain a perception of what is real. Maladaptive behaviors flow from the inability to operate in terms of what is real in the world. Where are we as African people? What is our real history? What is the real nature of this social system? And how does that reality intrude into our lives? We must come to know ourselves. If we do not know ourselves, we lose control of ourselves. We don't know why and for what reason we behave as we do. We must exercise control over ourselves. We must come to esteem ourselves and accept ourselves. To a good extent, the problems that we talk about all the time are problems that flow from people avoiding themselves, escaping their real selves, and creating mechanisms and machinations to facilitate their escape from themselves, and using other people and abusing other people in their escape from self-acceptance, in their escape from their real African selves as a people. And therefore, if we're going to stop abusing and using other people and using them as objects and so forth, then we must come back into self-acceptance and come back into reality. We must.
What's up, family? It's your boy Jay Sean. Hey, this video is going to be a little deeper than most of my videos I've ever done before, because lately I've been hearing a lot of crazy stuff on YouTube, and I see what's going on now, and it's disheartening. I mean, we had this situation where people, trying to, personally destroy people by putting their private information out. That's one thing. But I'm also seeing now coon culture creep up, self-hatred, and we saw that, and we still see it in our women, right? It's a visible thing we can see in our women every day. The self-hatred, the scar of oppression. But now I see it in the brothers too, and this is not new. All right, it's not new. It's not new to see brothers out here self-hating the way they are. It's just a new form of it. And all of this cis, them, and black pill and all that, all of it stems from powerlessness and us not having agency like we see other men have agency. You know what I mean? We see Asians have agency. We see Arab men have agency. We see Indian men have agency. We see white men have agency. We even see Hispanics to a certain extent have agency. at least carve out their own corners in the world and have their own communities, their own language, their own culture, their own way. And what we don't see is the women of those groups disrespecting them the way our women do us. And I feel you on that. I understand it. But what I heard last night on some brother's live stream last night, and I'm not going to say any names on this because this is going to stay up. And I want this to be a permanent live stream that people can come to any time, any year in the future. So I don't want to make it personal to somebody else. I'm not going to make this a Dear John letter to somebody else. But there was a bunch of brothers on the live stream last night that was straight up self-hating and doing some Becky worshiping. Using, talking about the black community as those niggas and, and talk about, I want to hear Congo bongo music and, you know what I mean? And Becky's falling in your lap. And I mean, it was disgusting. And it was weak. And I know where it stems from. Now, this is not my effort to help them because a lot of brothers are lost. You can't get to them. They're too stubborn. They're stubborn like the women they complain about. They got a lot of effeminate ways with them. That's real talk. And if you figure out I'm talking to you, guess what? I don't care. You're going to see me in these YouTube streets. I'll be on X channel. I might even come over to the Brain Trust. Holla at me. So I'll break you down real quick. Or you cis bim brothers. But I see you who you are now. You're a bunch of self-hating coons. And I'm going to tell you something else, man. What really bothered me about that live stream, there was a young brother from my neighborhood. A neighborhood that's been gentrified. And he's looking to these guys for advice. And all of this is over pussy. All of it's over sex. Because you brothers are not having completely detached from your history. So I'm going to give you a brief history lesson to know where you come from. I'm not going to go all the way back to slavery. Let me start out with a video from the 60s. Since you brothers don't know where you come from. You see what's on the screen? Those are black people about to go harvest and hit the fields in America. And this is 1960. The name of this video is 1960 Harvest of Shame. And all the links for the videos I'm going to play today will be in the description box. And by the way, the name of this video is going to be Black Politics, Kamala Harris, and Miscegenation. Because that's what we do. I'm sorry, voluntary miscegenation. Because that's what you want to do now. Y'all want to finish the race off. Y'all want to complete the work that was set upon us. Y'all want to complete the destruction of us. You have no pride in yourself. You have no self-love. Because if you did, you would want to continue yourself. Everybody who leaves their country and travels across deserts, if they coming from Central America or Mexico to come into this country for a better life, those who fly thousands of miles or get on boats or used to get on boats to come here, leaving what they know, have never divorced what they are. If they in here as a Chinese person, they're known as John Lee, Lucy Liu, Bruce Lee. They have an identity. They have a Chinatown. They have a business center. You brothers will talk about black economics and black progress, but you never talk about group economics. I agree. The black community, the black society has been destroyed. And I'm going to show you how it happened. It has been destroyed. It is burning. But instead of sitting back and letting it burn, won't you do a control burn? Won't you burn down yourself with the sole purpose of rebuilding it? But you don't want to do that because you're not men. I, Jay Shine, know I cannot do it by myself. And the problem with a brother like me is because I come from the hood. I come from the streets. I sound like I'm from the hood. But I'm also somebody who's well-spoken, well-trained, well-experienced, well-earned. I'm in the world competing with other groups of men. I'm an engineer, a projects manager. I've been a staff officer in the Pentagon. I've dealt with all types of race of women as far as sex is concerned. I've had my fun. My passport, I'm on my third. I had to stunt a little bit. I just got a brand new passport last year because the last one expired. I didn't know it. So I had to get a new one. So I'm on my third passport. Currently holding 2 passports. a blue tourist passport and a burgundy official passport. Talk about American privilege. And so does my daughter, who's 16. But I digress. The bottom line is that I'm a hard person to argue with because I'm living the life a lot of you brothers want to live. I'm where a lot of you brothers want to be. I have access to a lot of women you want to have access to. I've slept with a lot of women that you want to sleep with. But the difference between me and you is that I care about legacy. I care about a black future. As a man, I don't want to take this L. I'm not taking this loss. I'm not going to betray my grandfather and my grandmother and her grandmother before her and my grandfather before my grandfather. I'm not betraying them like you niggas have. Like y'all doing. You think you're so smart because you're well-spoken. Because you calling yourself an educated lame. Dickhead, that's a female term. Created by women. Made popular by Sergeant Willie P. He was quoting women when he brung it up. And now y'all use it regularly, calling yourself something women created. Out here with all kinds of incel behavior with your corny asses. Meanwhile, you sitting here putting black women under the fucking bus and using them as a catalyst just so you complete your miscegenation and self-hate. That's all this is about. I see it now. And I don't respect none of you. Sorry. You have a right to say what you want to say. You have the right to express yourself. I get it. That's why I'm not going to come over to your channel and kick up dirt. I'm not going to call out your name and none of that kind of bullshit. But I'm going to tell you like this. You have a right to talk, so does Jay Shine. And I'm going to talk, and I'm going to teach. I'm going to show the truth. I'm going to hold the middle. Because I am a black man. You motherfuckers calling yourselves black men, and you don't care about the black group. You fakers. You know different than a fucking white person committing cultural appropriation. You want to be exotic. You want to be the only nigga in your white community. Instead of building your own, like other men have. You got poor women all over the world, third world women all over the world who don't disrespect their men the way their men the way ours do. I get it. But instead of correcting her ass and creating a new environment which requires building, which might take a lifetime or two, or generation 2 or 3, y'all don't want to do that. But I'm going to show you what happened to us, and at the same time, I'm going to show you what white people did to build their wealth. Since y'all worship them so much. So this first video, it's only a minute and 20 seconds. It's going to lay down the groundwork for what I'm going to lay down today. Pay attention.
Over here, 7 cents. All day, John. Over here, 7 cents today. We're paying today. We're paying more than anybody in town. $0.70, 70 cents today. 70 cents today. 70 cents. 70 cents all day jumping. All I can do is advise you. 8 cent box, and you guarantee you if you pull today and we pull what we got to pull today, you'll have $11 in your pocket.
This is not taking place in the Congo. It has nothing to do with Johannesburg or Cape Town. It is not Nyasaland or Nigeria. This is Florida. These are citizens of the United States, 1960. This is a shape-up for migrant workers. The hawkers are chanting the going peace rate at the various fields. This is the way the humans who harvest the food for the best-fed people in the world get hired. One farmer looked at this and said, "We used to own our slaves. Now we just rent them."
You heard that? This is not 1909. This is not 1890. It's not 1860. This is 1960. This is what black people were then. They called us migrants. Most black people couldn't afford to be stable. They had to go where work was. So we mined the fields still. The country was literally built on our backs. And not only were men in those fields, women and children were in those fields. And I'm going to show you that next. This is what we come from. Those of us who are ADOS, or Foundational Black Americans, or what I like to call just Negro. That's what we were. These black terms, white terms, that shit don't exist. I'm in Europe. White is a new term. White was created in America. You understand me? These people over here, Barbarian, Gaul, they all kind of different clans, and then they national people. So they Germans and they, Norwegians and Swedens. You know what I mean? They're not, you know what I'm saying? They different people and they at war all the time. Matter of fact, the last time I checked, fucking Russians and Ukrainians are the same people. They're at war right now. Hungarians don't like Belarusians. Romanians don't like fucking Polish. They keep to themselves. They all different clans with different histories, man. Trust me. I'm in Germany. There's certain parts of Germany that have holidays, and other parts of Germany don't have holidays, because those are group people will have those holidays, and other group people don't have them, because they're descendants of different groups of people. We're descendants of these people. Yeah. There was a mulatto class in the country at that time, because they were created. Remember, this is 95 years after the Civil War. 95. Not 5, not 10, not 15, not 20. I'm going to take you back, though, to the early 1900s in a minute. But I just want you to see where we come from. Now, pay attention to this next clip. All right? This next clip is very important. I want you to see what black life really was. Okay? What black life really was like. Where we come from. Where we come out of. The stock we come out of. Okay? Pay attention.
This is Belgrade, Florida, where the Exodus has its beginning every year. The migrants call it their home, what the circus people call their winter quarters, their Sarasota. Charles Goodlett, Chief of Police of Belgrade, says,
the problem that we have now are the ones that come here that don't have the money to rent a room. They'll sleep around the bars, in the grass, in the packing houses, around the lake area, in the parks, any place they can find to sleep, to rest for a few hours. They come here with one thought in mind, is to survive till the end of this season and save enough money to get to the next state, going north.
From towns like this throughout Florida and throughout the South, the 2 to 3 millions move out on their annual migration, which ends in late November. They carry with them whatever little they possess, whatever little they are. At the Okeechobee labor camp, while families were preparing to move north, there was still some work in the bean fields. Children, as usual, were left to fend for themselves.
Jerome, how old are you?
9.
9? Do you go to school?
Yes.
Where do you go to school, Jerome?
I did at Okeechobee Elementary School.
I see. What is your sister's name?
Lois.
That's Lois. And what are your other sisters' names?
Catherine and Beulah.
Catherine and Beulah. What happened to your foot, Jerome?
Dig a nail in out there by the wash house.
So you drove a nail in out by the wash house. What did your mother do for that?
She put some alcohol on it.
Where do you sleep, Jerome?
In this bed.
You have this big bed?
Yes.
What happened? How did you get that hole in that bed there, Jerome?
The rats.
The what?
Rats.
Now, Jerome, you are taking care of Kathy, of Beulah, and Lois.
Yes.
Now, are you going to give them lunch today?
Yes.
What are you going to feed them?
I don't know.
Do you have any food here to give them?
Yes.
I see. What time does your mother come home?
I don't know.
The following day, Aline King, the mother of Jerome, Kathy, Lois, and Beulah, again was picking beans.
Aileen King, I saw your children yesterday at the Okeechobee camp. Why didn't you put them in the nursery?
I don't make enough to pay for it.
How much does it cost to put them in?
85 cents.
85 cents.
That's right.
Aileen, what time did you come out the field this morning?
6 o'clock.
What time would you get home?
About 3:30, 4 o'clock.
6 this morning to 4 o'clock this afternoon.
That's right.
How much did you earn?
$1.
$1?
That's right. $1.
Is that because the beans were of poor quality?
That's right.
Has this happened before?
That's right.
How much will your food cost you today?
About $2.
Aileen, how old are you?
29.
How many children do you have?
14.
How old were you when you first started working in the fields?
8.
You've been working 21 years in the fields?
That's right.
Aileen, do you ever think you'll be able to get out of this kind of work?
No, sir.
All the migrants travel fourth class. If there is a privileged class, they ride in their own jalopy, in the best Jode family tradition. The long journey begins. Through Atlanta, Nashville, Indianapolis, en route to the fields and orchards of America.
I'm gonna stop it right there because this is a 52-minute video. We're not gonna watch the whole thing, but you get the point. You get the point. That's where our people come from. That's what we came through. For all intents and purposes, we're supposed to be dead. We're not supposed to be here. We're not supposed to be here. And before I go any further to tell you the full story of what happened to us, let's go back a little further. I'm going to do a Back to the Future. Because that was 1960. All right? 1960 was what? Talking about 70 years ago now? No. 60 years ago. 60 years ago. We're coming up on 60 years of that. That's what we were in 1960. That's right before the civil rights really kicked off. That's what we were fighting for. That was the poor people's campaign was about. The inequities of life. The people who built the country, who were still building the country. The people who were still being exploited for the country. Couldn't get a slice of the pie. So you say, all right, well, they're poor blacks, okay. You know, they're not uply mobile. You know, it just is what it is. You got poor whites. And you're right, there are poor whites too. And they're in that documentary. And I'm gonna have all these links in the chat room, so you can see it. You can hit these videos yourself and watch them yourself. Because you should know American history. It's not black history. It's American history. There is no America without black people. So we are American history. Kids working in the fields, women working in the fields, kids as young as 8 years old working in the fields. That's what we come from. And look where we are now. I'm not forfeiting that. No one gave us anything. Niggas talking about chicks on welfare. That's nothing. That keeps them right where they are. What about those of us who climbed out of that? See, the problem with Jay Sean is that I come from the hood. I come from the crack 80s. I come from burnt down buildings. I come from roaches and mice in my house. I come from pots and pans on my radiator. But I also know that everybody can't do it. Everybody can't be on top, man. So when I go through life and I see white society, and I wonder how white society is so damn stable. And then you come across documentaries like the one I'm about to show you next. And it shows you how white wealth was created, how white middle class was created, how the upper white middle class was created, and how they maintained that wealth generation to generation, while they completely kept destroying ours. Generation after generation after generation. So I know what you're going to say. We got civil rights now. Things are different now. It doesn't matter what's now. It's about what was cast then. There's a bad analogy out there that's saying that, white people got to run the race, 10 laps. And then they finally let us out the cage and said, all right, keep up. Now you go black man, you can run. But they gave us no shoes to run with. The truth of the matter is we never had a chance to really run. We were the shoes. To coin a term from Yvette Carnell. She's absolutely right when she says that. We were the shoes. We went around the next side of them. We wasn't running behind them. We were the shoes they ran on. Before they started letting other groups in this country, at the clip there is now, before they started letting the country flood in with Indians, shout out to Kamala Harris, and Asians from around, other Asians from around the world, and Africans, who we fought to allow to get in the country, by the way. Now we look stupid because we just saw what Joy Reid did this weekend, or her show. But that attack on a grassroots movement, attack on black people in this country with her Condoleezza, for her, she's from Congo. And they know who to put in place to do this to us. But I digress. The bottom line is that before we let all these people in the country was already settled. The wealth was already created. Positions were already set. And we sit here as black men today having no compassion for our history, no compassion for the women and the men that came before us. The fucking very reason why we're alive. Your black ass will not be here without these people. So since that wasn't enough, let me show you the real reason why we are where we are. Okay? Because the people I just showed you were the poorest of the poor. Let me show you the people who are uply mobile, the ones who could buy houses in quote-unquote white communities, and what happened to them. Check this out.
This mob of over 100 people marched on an African American's house in October of 1909 to try to stop this family from moving in. The leading men of Minneapolis, as the newspaper called them, these are not the kind of people who want to be involved in mob violence. And they don't have to, because they have other tools that they can use. And there's this tool that they become aware of. It's called a racial covenant. And so just a few months after this confrontation, you see the first racial covenant appear in a Minneapolis property.
And this is where you first see this racial language.
Caucasians only, Aryans only, no Negroes or no members of African blood or descent.
100% of them were aimed at black people.
In many ways, racial covenants, this is kind of ground zero of residential segregation. In the United States, and racism have a very, very long history, but this particular deployment of racism is fairly new, and this idea was really made material through instruments like racial covenants.
The law of the streets, the law of the courts working in consort to discourage blacks from moving into white neighborhoods.
I want to stop right there. You heard what that man said? The law of the streets and the law of the courts, which is government, working in concert with each other. That's how white people roll. All right? That's how white folk roll. All right? That's how white folk roll. They don't play around. They don't play around. All right? White folk roll, you know, they work, they stay on code. They work together. You understand me? On every level. This is not just one white guy over here, one white guy. No, they work in concert. So when you brothers talk about leaving the community, you'll never have power because your wealth, your know-how, your thinking black manness is not connected to the streets, which means you don't want power. See, power is a group phenomenon, which they're about to prove to you in this documentary. This is some real foul shit that I'm about to show you, but it's something that happened all over the country. And this is the perfect layout of what really happened to black America in America, starting back in 1909. All right? I mean, well, you know, it started with slavery, but the modern America, America as we know it, neighborhoods, land, deeds, housing, all that started in the early 1900s. All right, so check this out.
It starts out as private property developers, but eventually you have the federal government encouraging these racial covenants, demanding actually that any investment they make is protected with this kind of racial exclusivity.
When you can covenant entire areas of the city, it makes it off limits. That's pretty powerful. This is Jim Crow of the North.
Now, when we talk about Jim Crow, I'm gonna fast forward this to a very important part. I'm not going to put play the whole video because, like I said, it's a whole long video. I'm gonna put the links in the description box. But when we talk about Jim Crow, we think it's only a Southern thing. Segregation was done in the North, and this is how it was done. Okay, so let me get to the part of the video that I want to show you guys. And yeah, let's get to it. This is it right here. All right. Now, what they're going to do is they're going to show you how segregation in the North started, and not just in Minneapolis, but in Chicago, Detroit, New York, and how it happened all over the place. And it wasn't just redlining. Redlining didn't start as a government and bank practice until the 1930s. Okay. But before then, 20-something years before then, they had this thing called racial covenants, and they used to put them in into the deeds. Now, I'm not going to show you the part in here where they talk about how black people went to court and fought against that and got it, outlawed. And the thing is, you can still put racial covenants into deeds to this day. It just can't be enforced. So what's a racial covenant? A racial covenant is, they're going to explain it to you in a minute, but I'll just give you the short version. Is when they put into a deed that it cannot be sold to other races. So as a white person, as an Aryan race person, you cannot sell this deed to these other people. So whether they, Mongoloids, Asian, Negroes, etc., you can't sell it to these people. And if you do so, you forfeit the property. You know what I mean? That's a heavy penalty, and it can be enforced by law. They can go into any court and have that happen. So people will not sell their property, so they could be as well-meaning as they want to. They covered all bases with this. They saying if we got a tender heart white person to come in here, a nigger lover, if you will, we got that covered. We're gonna make sure this community stay white, and then we're gonna make these communities profitable. So check this out. This is some real deep shit. It's a real good documentary. It's called Jim Crow to North, a full-length documentary. You can check it out on YouTube. Again, the links will be in the description box. But listen to this.
Declared themselves ready to take any steps necessary to bring about your removal.
Oh, by the way, that was me skipping over a part where there was the black families being threatened, and they were putting that shit in the newspaper. They were threatening your ass in the newspaper back then. That's how serious it was. That's when you had upper mobile black people trying to move into neighborhoods and buy houses. And back then, they used to build houses from the ground up. And they would still get their houses burnt down, or they get threatened in the newspaper. That's how blatant the racism was. These are the under conditions we have thrived and survived through. Whether they've been poor blacks, upper middle class blacks, or even blacks who happen to be rich with that. There wasn't that many in 1909. It wasn't that many at all. And if they was, they probably were token Negroes. But I digress. The bottom line is that's what we went through, and now I want y'all to listen to this next part. But that's the context of this documentary. They go through all. This is a real heavy documentary. I really want you guys to watch this on your own time. I'm going to give you a couple of clips so you can get the gist of it. But this is something you really should sit back and watch on your own time.
And you have to understand, in 1909, this is a period where lynchings are commonplace. These were not idle threats. The amazing thing to me is that both of these families persisted. They stayed in their houses. The Simpsons built a lovely home, which is still there today. Marvel blazed a trail. She was the first African-American child to go through Pratt Elementary School. I learned that her mother had actually dated W.E.B. Du Bois before marrying Madison Jackson. That gives me clues as to what that household must have been like. As soon as they became teenagers, all those white friends she had basically abandoned her.
At that time, I determined I was going to get out of that kind of society and go where my people were.
She went to the University of Minnesota, where she dated Roy Wilkins and was engaged to him briefly. As soon as she finished at the University of Minnesota, she got out of Minneapolis.
Now, before I go any further, I want to point something out because I didn't play what happened before this commentary. And because of the terrorism, this is what forced a lot of black people to move. Some black people just got up and left because the property was being destroyed, the lives were being threatened, so they got forced to go to live with their own people. They moved to places like Chicago. They moved to places like Harlem. You know what I mean? They moved to Atlanta. They moved to other places, Birmingham. They got the hell out of these white neighborhoods. So even if they tried to move places and mix in and be upwardly mobile and buy houses and, you know, raise their kids where they wanted to, which is their right to do as Americans, it wasn't allowed. So a lot of them moved right back. All right? And what was deep about Minneapolis is that the communities that they created through racism produced people like Prince, you know what I mean, and other artists and other poets and great people that came out of Minneapolis because they were segregated to these slums and these black communities. All right, so anyway, I just wanted to break in and say that so you have a clear picture of what's going on because I know I didn't play the first part. But the bottom line is that this is really how the middle class black Americans, people will push together. You know what I mean? You had poor people, poor black people, and you had upwardly mobile black people who were pushed together. And that created the black neighborhoods that we knew about back in the 60s and 70s. And actually, we were forced to be together. That segregation made us who we are. It strengthened us to a certain degree. And that's a lesson we need to take from that. Or take from this.
Her parents had protected her, I think, from a lot of the racism in her childhood, but when you get to be a grown-up, you certainly can experience this more. And she realized there was really no place for her here. Well, Minneapolis's loss was the Harlem Renaissance gain.
She ended up moving to New York City. She ended up working for W.E.B. Du Bois. She ended up becoming one of the premier African-American journalists in the country. And then she became one of the first black journalists to work for an all-white publication. So she has this incredible career, incredible talents, gifts, passion, and Minneapolis lost her. Madison Jackson died in 1927. Once he died and they sold the house, both families left Minneapolis. And I just wonder what it would have been like, you know, if they had been welcomed. You know, if Prospect Park had become an enclave for black intellectuals and black civil rights activists, what would that have been like? How would the city be different? And that's what I think about a lot when I think about this story.
The problem with the Madison Jackson and William Simpson incident is people had to show up in their front yard and threaten them. And this was in 1909. I don't think it's any coincidence that in May of 1910, the first racial covenant shows up in South Minneapolis. I'm pretty sure I know who wrote that covenant, and that was one Edmund G. Walton. He was a real estate developer. The legacy he left on Minneapolis, I mean, there's Edmund Boulevard, there's all these additions with his last name. Really, probably the most important and the worst was this legacy of racial covenants.
So when people purchase a home, traditionally you get an abstract package. And it shows every time your property, the property that you've just purchased, changed hands. And in Minneapolis, properties that were platted after 1910 are very likely to have these racial restrictions embedded in the property deed.
Covenants can be building covenants, they can be setback requirements, but the racial covenants that we're concerned with tells you who can or cannot live, lease, even occupy certain spaces.
Racially restrictive covenants, private contracts between individuals that allow them to dictate to whom they'll sell their property.
Identifying racial covenants, however, has proved remarkably challenging. The only way to find racial covenants are to read warranty deeds. We're looking at about 3 million deeds in Hennepin County between 1900 and 1960, and each deed on average runs about 3 pages. So we're in the ballpark of 10 million or so pages of text. Penny found about 4,000, 5,000 racial covenants by herself. The old-fashioned way. She just went down to the county recorder's office and started going through deeds. And she found several thousand racially restrictive covenants. And that was enough to get us thinking, okay, hey, maybe we can do more than just show that racial covenants were a practice that was used in Minneapolis. What if we can map all of them? The first map that Penny made was shocking. I was shocked when I saw this, and I was shocked when she started reading me some of the language of these racial covenants.
The wording can be very different. They're working on early 20th century ideas of race.
Chinese, Japanese, Negro, Moorish, Turkish,
Mongolian,
Hebrew, sometimes Semitic.
People of African blood or descent. No Negroes or Jews. Only Caucasians except for their domestic servants of a different race who might be domiciled with the owner.
Many of them were written during the period where eugenics is at front and center of American scientific thought, and that language is often what you see in these deeds.
Only people of the Aryan race can inhabit this land.
Or the Aryan branch of the Caucasian race.
I think one of the surprising things that I found in this research is 100% of these covenants are aimed at African Americans.
So I'm gonna stop it there. You get the point. You get the point. Because there wasn't that many of other groups in the country at the time. So of course all it was targeted at us. And because we kept believing in America and still believe in America and we kept pushing, of course we kept popping up. And because we stick out the most, we get the brunt of it. It's kind of like the Me Too thing. You got all these white dudes losing their jobs where they get these golden parachutes, but the only ones going to jail are black men. You understand? Same thing with feminism. Same thing with so-called rape culture. White boys don't go to jail, but black men do. Even the ones who never did it. I want you to understand everything we had to deal with, man, in this country. This is 30, 40 something years after slavery. 40 something years after slavery, and look what we're dealing with. This is 10 years, 11 years before Tulsa. This is 10 years, 9 years before the Red Summer. Do I need to keep going? I'm talking to you cis-bim men who want to jump ship and turn their back on their race and have the fucking audacity to call yourselves men. You know what? I should have queued up Donald Sterling's words, because it's very important what Donald Sterling said. He was being privately recorded, and I've said this a lot on X channel about how he's a prophet. And I do it at tongue-in-cheek, I'm being sarcastic, but it's, goddamn, he was saying the God's truth, man. You hear it from a rich white man's mouth. Black people don't care about each other. And the reason he said that is because that's how other groups operate. They respect each other based on how you even treat each other, how you guys approach yourselves. The way our woman is right now, how manly she is, how wayward she is, reflects on you no matter where you go in the world. No matter where you go in the world. You black. And you American. Nigerians ain't owning you. Ethiopians ain't owning you. The Congolese definitely ain't gonna own you. All you got is yourselves, man. And you think you a man because you can walk up to another group and show disdain for your own group and somehow that gets you respect? You're a fucking fool. I'm gonna tell you why the generals I work for and the high-ranking people I work for in my past respect me, because I'm a proud black man who did not bend his back. Muhammad Ali was somebody that was fucking hated. He was despised. But they respected him. Because he stood up for his. He stood up for his culture and his people. And was willing to lose it all for him. Now, you don't have to go that far. No one's asking you to go that far. You're not Muhammad Ali. You're not in his position. But raising a strong black family, or at least having strong black kids and having a legacy, and then black men working together and creating a group economics and creating a code of conduct amongst ourselves and staying on code with each other and having each other's back, that's going to gain respect throughout the world from other people. That's why it's a threat. That's why they always try to divide and conquer us. The answer to your problems is in the fucking mirror. And the next answer to your problem is the brother standing next to you and the brother standing the other side of you. And ultimately, having a brother standing behind you, having your back. That's the answer to our problems. But we can't do it. Because we don't know where we come from. We don't know how this shit happened. Matter of fact, some of us so-called educated lames should know what the fuck I'm talking about. You should know what's on the screen. This is American history. So I got 2 more clips I'm going to show you real quick. Because I'm going to go in afterwards and really break some shit down. But I'm going to show you 2 more clips. This one is only 4 minutes long. And the one after that is about 3 minutes long. All right? But you show what racial covenants is, and then I'm going to skip over a part because they tell some stories. But I'm going to show you how it evolved into redlining. How it became common practice. How it became best practices. How it became law, basically. It became policy. And it happened all over the country. So these hoods, these park apes, all this shit y'all keep calling out, it was created. No other group had to deal with this. But yet and still we got ratchet, ghetto-ass white people walking around the country who can go fishing and hunting when they want. They're not on top of each other. You got suburban America hooked on drugs, hooked on sex, STD rates going out the fucking roof. But you want to hop the fence over there because they so-called better than us. And never had to go through nothing we had to go through. Let me get to this next part, man, so we can go move on. Because I want to get to Kamala's ass. I really do. Anyway, so here we go. Check this out.
Homeownership is the basis of a happy, contented family life. And now, through the use of a National Housing Act insured mortgage, is brought within the reach of all citizens on a monthly payment.
In the midst of the New Deal, when the FDR administration is looking for ways to try to stabilize the housing market, the Fair Housing Act is passed in 1934. And as part of that, the Homeowners Loan Corporation is also established with the hope that if you could establish long-term mortgages with fixed interest rates, you could create pathways to homeownership for most Americans.
This time they can buy this house with monthly payments that are less than they now spend for rent.
When the FHA starts underwriting mortgages in the 1930s, this really is a game changer in a lot of ways. It takes a lot of risk off the banks, it places it onto the federal government, and now working class, middle class families, they're able to purchase a home.
Unfortunately, as part of that, what the HOLC does is it establishes designations for neighborhoods based on the occupants of those neighborhoods.
And this is where the term redlining comes into place. The FHA, they made color-coded maps of all the largest cities in the United States, and they broke cities down into 4 different areas. Red is considered hazardous, that's the worst. Yellow is considered definitely declining. Blue is considered still desirable, and green is considered the best.
And what's so powerful about this kind of scale of measuring investment, it was about values and people.
The fact of the matter is that there was no evidence that those people who lived in those communities, predominantly black and brown people and foreign-born people, would have defaulted on loans.
I want to stop it right there real quick. A lot of these black people who were trying to get loans and trying to get homes back then, a lot of them were veterans from World War I. A lot of them were doctors, nurses, teachers. That photo you see on the screen right there, that's a black family. That's an ADOS family. That's where we come from. That's who we are. That's what our families used to look like. And because of the pressures of the world and pushing us from here to there, and us trying to look for work from here to there, and being forced to move from here to there, we got fragmented. What group can be stable under that circumstance? What group of people? And a lot of it was done through violence, under the threat of violence. You see that family right there? These are people who had to deal with the KKK. They had to deal with the white brotherhood. They had to deal with racist cops, racist judges, racist county clerks, racist teachers, white mobs, lynchings, racial covenants, Jim Crow, vagrancy laws, pygmy laws, black codes. And then they made it official with redlining.
There are no firm realities behind the close proximity to blackness and your property values going down. That's just not true.
The FHA is being very upfront and very explicit in how they're linking spatial desirability with racial occupancy. It's this racialization of space idea. So areas that were predominantly African American or majority minority, or really in a lot of cases, even if there's a few non-white people there, that's often enough to be redlined. So when they built these maps, they also explained why each area got the ranking it did.
The area around 4th Avenue South, which is called the Old South Side. This was a nice area, it had nice homes. It's the historic African American neighborhood on the south side of Minneapolis.
This one part of South Minneapolis was redlined specifically due to, and I'm quoting, a gradual infiltration of Negroes and Asiatics. The FHA refused to give an area a green-lined designation. Again, this is the best designation that they'll offer unless, and I'm quoting again, restrictive covenants are already in place. That line's from the FHA underwriting manual. Racial covenants aren't just about discriminating against people of color. It's about enriching white people. And I think that's the part that often gets lost in this narrative. And I think it does speak to the ways that white supremacy have been embedded in really built structures and built environments. I mean, if your grandparents bought a home on Minnehaha Creek, that home's worth, what, $500,000? If your grandparents rented an area that was redlined and then subsequently destroyed by a freeway project, you're not inheriting anything.
In a lot of ways, the practice of redlining, which didn't start until the 1930s, institutionalized and spread racial covenants all over the country because suddenly developers got sanctioned, they got direction from the federal government saying, this is best practices if you want to have a really high rating from us, if you want to get the most favorable terms for any loans.
By kind of de-integrating Minneapolis, which in many ways is what racial covenants are doing, this set the stage and enabled all these subsequent systems of inequality to really take hold.
This very persistent myth that northern cities never had formal segregation. The South had Jim Crow, and look at those signs. Well, racial covenants did the work of Jim Crow in the North, all over the North.
You heard what she said. All over the North. And you heard what the man said before her. This was the baseline for all systems. They built systems on this. All kinds of racial systems were built on this. Just like the chain gang, the prison industrial complex was built on that. Fragrancy laws and stuff like that. That's what built up the mass incarceration system. Then the prison industrial system that we're living in through now. But all kinds of shit came out of this. All kinds of banking policies came out of this housing crisis that they put us in. This was done to us. They put us in these ghettos, in these hoods. Ghetto culture was created. It was manufactured. If you don't believe me, I'm gonna give you this last 3-minute clip and we can move on. This is some real deep stuff. This is heavy. What you about to hear next?
But that was my generation in Minneapolis. We were hemmed in that ghetto, and that was our life. That was our world.
1935 land use planning map used to define which place would get mortgages versus others circled these areas, called them slums, places where the quote-unquote Negroes lived. These are places to avoid, right? So they're gonna give you substandard housing and they're gonna contain you. Access to affordable housing was a challenge. When you think about the reasons behind the creation of public housing, you had a lot of folks forced to the low-wage sector, right? And you're thinking about what jobs or opportunities that low-income folks of color even had access to at this time. You know, I would argue that with the creation of public housing in 1938, the Sumner Field homes became this really interesting iteration of the redesign of space. You have 400 units of public housing, which were segregated at the time, created. In 1953, the City Council of Minneapolis refused to scatter another 1,000 units of public housing outside of the Sumner Field homes area. And where did these pressures come from? You had both internal conservative politicians and outlying suburban communities coming in saying, not in my neighborhood. And the city council crumbled under the pressure and then took what was 400 units of public housing to over 1,000 units in less than a decade. They have strategically manufactured urban poverty.
Now, I was gonna end it there, but actually there's one more minute I wanna play, but before I play it, there you go. That was the model. From the 1930s, 1940s, all the way up into the 80s, this is what they did. They moved us around, they pushed us around, they called us migrants. We weren't even fucking citizens in this country. We couldn't buy nothing, we couldn't live anywhere. They created black poverty. It was created. So when you see the riots of the 60s, where do you think that came from? Where do you think that frustration came from? Because not only did they do that to us, they gave us no jobs, and then they occupied us with racist police who beat on us. And you wonder why you had this hard, thugged out culture. It was made. So yeah, I'll tell you what, man. I can't stand a ratchet whore. I can't, man. People still gotta be held accountable for their own behaviors, no question. But when you see something on a scale like you see it is in black society, you gotta ask what the fuck happened. Were black women always like this? Those black girls you saw on the film, they were wearing dresses. They weren't popping their ass in the street. They weren't popping their ass in the street in the 70s, even though, you know, that's when the sexual revolution really went crazy. And hoe culture really started in the 70s. But even then, they still kept the shit out the streets. What happened? Conditions were created. Decisions were made. A lot of us went off to war to fight wars to create for a better life. Now, when we talk about white privilege, it's very important that you listen to this next part. It's only 1 minute. And I'm going to close this video out. Or at least this portion of the video out. This is very important. This woman is going to sum up white privilege in 1 minute and show you how it was created. Now, you already see how the wealth was created. They gave them, you know, houses, and they gave them higher values on their homes, and et cetera, and they were able to pass that down not only to their family, but other white people. So it was a built-in system. It wasn't just about passing on to their blood relatives. It was about passing it to all white folks and only white folks. And that went on for a long, long time. It didn't stop. Remember white flight in the 60s and 70s? When they was giving those dirt cheap loans, damn near no interest loans to white folks to move to suburban areas as they kept developing other suburban areas around cities, and white people moved out, gave them wealth overnight, interest-free loans, houses that were only $50,000, $100,000 a year. People like Bill O'Reilly, who run around here talking down on black people. He's a benefactor of that. If you know his story, know where his people were raised and where his people moved to. His parents were part of white flight. Listen up. This last 1 minute of this is very important, because this is white privilege. And this is what these cis BIM brothers want to really be like. They want to be white. They want this. They want this without spilling the blood for it. They want this without fighting for it. They want this without building it.
This history is very personal for me. I'm a third generation Minneapolitan. My grandparents were immigrants from Sweden who came to this country with nothing, worked incredibly hard jobs, but both sets of my grandparents in 1942 were able to buy houses in South Minneapolis. These houses were in a part of the city that was blanketed by racial covenants. Because of those racial covenants, my parents grew up in neighborhoods that were entirely white. And in many ways, they described them as a paradise for children. They had wonderful parks. They had really solid schools that sent them to college. But no one in their neighborhood ever talked about the fact that this neighborhood was only for white people. And I want everyone with this map to imagine themselves in this landscape of privilege and disenfranchisement.
That was some real shit. And then they go on and talk about, things that happened after World War II. This is a very good documentary. They go there. And they talk about the court fights and everything we did as black people to try to get us to a better place. And the very same people that fought for you to be where you are right now, you cis-bin brothers, so you can go buy a house where you want to turn your back on now. That's why I call you cowards. That's why I call you traitors. That's why I call you sellouts. This is personal now. Because I see what you're doing. You're not thinking black men at all. Thinking black men will put together a plan to get us the fuck out of this. Not worshiping some other man's woman. Not terminating or destroying their own lineage. By practicing voluntary miscegenation. This is a real good documentary. Y'all should watch this, man. Real deep. A lot of good jewels in here. A lot of legal shit. A lot of real stuff that happened in the past. And this is only in Minneapolis. And they ain't even tell you the whole story about Minnesota. Minnesota's a doozy. But you got Wisconsin. You got fucking Illinois, Indiana. Got a long history. Oh shit. We were just all over the country catching hell. Detroit, New York, Boston. Fuck, man. 1960s, you saw Florida. You saw who was in that heat in Florida, picking all those fruits and beans and shit. That was us, feeding the rich white folk in this country. And you want to reward them. So all you upper mobile brothers want to reward now the descendants of their children with your wealth and your own money. That's what you want to do? That's the answer? You niggas not even playing the game right. This is a game of chess, and y'all not even playing the game right. You niggas is playing checkers where you can jump backwards and sideways and double jump and this, all kind of goofy shit. King me. Simple as fuck, man. Y'all think y'all so goddamn intelligent. Anyway, this project that put this thing out, they also have a website called Mapping Prejudice. It's the University of Minnesota put it together, and they got some cool maps. This is one right here that shows you from 1910 how racial covenants populated and spread throughout the city. This is not on a small scale, family. All right? This is not on a small scale. From 1910 to 1955. This is some real shit, man. And this happened all over the country. And now in the South, they didn't have to do this because they had segregation laws. So they just say, you couldn't live here, nigga. You can't go in the store here, nigga. You can't go here. You can't go to this bathroom. You can't drink at this fountain. You got to sit in the back of the bus. They had, it just was what it was there. You were put in permanent poverty in the South. Jesus Christ, man. So you so-called thinking black men, can you figure a way to deal with this shit? Since you still claiming blackness. You still calling yourself black. So don't get mad at me when I call you a sellout, because I'm black, and my purpose is different. My purpose is for a black future. Yours is not. Fucking cowards, man. You cowards, man. You don't deserve to be black. be black to go through what the fuck we went through, what I just showed you, that little glimpse. You know how many fucking stories that's on YouTube? There's thousands of them. Pick a year. You can't miss. It's literally like shooting a basketball in the ocean. You be hot. You be on fire, man. In flagrant. NBA Jam, nigga. If you go on YouTube and just search our history and all the shit that happened in America, because it's American history. We'll just go get you some cake soap, man, some bleaching cream, and get it over with. Weak ass niggas, man. You weak. And I dare you to meet me anywhere on these YouTube streets and debate me about this shit. That's an open challenge. Y'all don't deserve to be calling yourselves black. To be black is great, because in those ghettos they created, we created the greatest music on the planet. We transformed sports from the hood. We created funk and jazz from the hood. Those funk bands from Ohio and LA, they came from the hood. Hip hop hood. Torn down, dilapidated New York. Lots everywhere, burnt out buildings every year. And created a whole new genre that's worth billions of dollars. Everybody in the world dancing like us. Can't go to a breakdancing tournament nowhere in the world without us, our finger on it. Them moving like us, dancing like us. That's the power of blackness. And you want to erase it. You go right on ahead. I'm not forfeiting a motherfucking thing. Ever. If I gotta be the last nigga, I'll be that. Just like my man Redman said, I know you saying he ain't shit, I'll be that, nigga. I'll be that. I won't let my ancestors down. They'll be proud of me. Even though they'll still be sad because of the heavy loss that we take. The fact that we got replaced by black immigrants. We got replaced by Hispanic immigrants. And everything we created and made is now somebody else's intellectual property. And we keep taking these L's. And our sisters going out here swirling and playing, doing slave play and being a fucking a sex toy for some white man, some fetish. Because they trying to figure a way out. Because we ain't built shit. We ain't trying to build shit. And I'm not saying build it for her. I'm telling you right now, those sisters out here right now who are 30-something years, 40-something years old, they're done. There's no way of turning them around. But we can raise a future. And y'all don't want to raise a future. Let me show you an example of thinking black men. Let me give you an example of thinking black men. Y'all know what the Harriet debacle, that Harriet movie, which was fucking outrageously disrespectful to Negro history in America. To the Negro history in America, that was absolutely blasphemous what they put on that goddamn silver screen. These are corporate giants doing this to us. You think you SY? I'm asking you cis-bim niggas something. Do you have any pride in yourselves and your history and where you come from? Do you care about anything? Let me show you what thinking black men do. They show up to Texas University and they do this.
I'm done, and I introduced her to my producing partners, and mind you, we didn't have a script. This is about 2 years before we were ready to, the movie came together. So she hung in there with us. You know, she knew that this was her role, in the same way that Denzel knew that Malcolm X was his role, and, you know, I don't know, but she hung in there and believed that my producing partner, Daniela Tappin-Lumberg, and I would deliver the role and the movie and everything that goes along with it. So I just, you know, it's like finding the needle in a haystack, and you have to go with what you think is right for the movie.
How did you view something like Cynthia Erivo in the world, and what she does with the world, but also this question that I think has kind of animated a lot of people, but maybe hasn't been done with the same kind of historical record as Mike?
I agree exactly with what Jason said. So you have to go with the best person for the character, and it sounds like the process was natural, and maybe it was spiritual in its own way. And you kind of have to lead with that. And she's well qualified. I think you're getting into nitty-gritty and particularities. And I would hate for us as a people to have those same kinds of discriminatory attitudes towards athletes because they weren't born here or what have you. I think we can't tackle that.
We could have had Viola Davis, though. We could have had Viola Davis.
There will be times for Q&A, so...
She wanted to part.
You're gonna have to wait. Brother man, you have to wait, okay?
She wanted to part.
And we will hear that question more fully.
Thank you.
We went into this very consciously saying this was not a movie about slavery. You know, I went into it saying the audience has slave fatigue.
Let me say something, man. Let me say something before I let you see what these brothers did. This is a hateful black woman. This is a black woman. I'm telling you right now, you cis men, this is you. You and her are the same people. Y'all hate your culture. Y'all hate your history. You cannot separate Harriet Tubman from slavery. That makes zero sense. That's insanity. And call it a biopic. This woman here and the writers, and there's two writers, they created characters that didn't even exist. They created a black man that didn't exist for the sole purpose of showing a black man beating on a black woman. Because they're trying to push an agenda, divide and conquer the agenda. The one that you guys are touting too. Y'all part of that agenda too. I thought the sole purpose of banging on black female fuckery was to eradicate it. But if you want to hop the fence and be with other women, why the fuck did you care in the first place? You niggas are only around to put black people down because you hate yourselves. It's self-hate. You leave black women to us then, the brothers who really care. We'll deal with them. Some of you brothers out here already in relationships with other women from other races, and you talking about black women. I am so disappointed in you brothers in the manosphere, man. I thought some of you brothers were smart. I thought you had a lot to say. You have an absolute gripe. But if you already hopped the fence and you already with other women, what the fuck why are you over here talking about them for? You only doing it over here to put your people down. Now, I heard a live stream last night. It wasn't just about the women. It was about the community. Again. Without having no fucking historical knowledge of how that community was created. But I'm telling you right now, this sister you see on the screen right here talking, that's a hateful sister. And let me show you what thinking black men did. They showed up to check her ass.
Like, we don't want to see us, our feet get chopped off and bloody back. We know it happened. We know how horrible it was. But no one fully talks about the emotional damage, the families being split up, never to be seen again. And unfortunately, we're going through that in this country right now. We've got here on the border here. And so, John and Harriet loved each other deeply, but they were separated, and he remarried, and he said that line that breaks your heart, I would have died for you if you didn't let me. So we really, and I think, to some extent, because we had the group of female filmmakers, it was really important for us to explore the emotional damage, the emotional abuse. Because we've seen the physical abuse so much, and there was evidence. We're not trying to whitewash in any stretch of the imagination.
Good evening. My name is Lane Boggs. First off, a lot of people are upset with Cynthia Erivo, not because she's Nigerian, but because of some offensive remarks she made towards.
That's right. That's right. Tell it, bro.
So my question, one is, were you aware of that, and why did you cast her after that? And B, why was it okay for you to include a black character named Bigger Long?
Come on, bro.
He doesn't even really talk like it's 1848. He sounds like somebody from Fifth Ward in Houston, where I'm from.
Right.
Columbia Drive, like
right.
In Atlanta. So and then, so why was it okay to include that? People take liberties with historical facts. I know, like the Patriot and Glory, some things may not have happened, but they're not using those to offend black people, specifically black men.
That's right. That's right.
So the first one, as I said, we cast Cynthia Erivo because she was absolutely the best person for the role.
No, she wasn't.
Well,
no, she wasn't.
Casting is subjective. So I'm making the movie, so in my opinion.
Well, you didn't do your research. You didn't do your research.
And listen, people grow. People learn. And Cynthia, and you just saw this movie, and is there any doubt in your mind but that she committed 1,000% to this character? She researched Harriet, she researched...
There's no Big Alone. Who is Big Alone? Who is Big Alone? He's not even a part of history.
If you don't stop interrupting...
He's not even a part of history.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. There wasn't no slave catching.
Conversation between you and her. It's a conversation for all
I
of
can
us.
name
Calm
a
down.
number of bigger longs in history. We have some.
We foundational Black Americans.
We have all over the United States. We have a lot of bigger longs in this community. We've always had bigger longs in this community. We've always had African Americans who sold out. Why did Denmark Vesey? Why did his rebellion not take place? Because an enslaved man told on it. Why did Isaac, an enslaved man in Camden, South Carolina, who was about to lead a rebellion, why did that rebellion get spoiled? Because Scipio told on it. There have always been, whether we want to be proud of it or not, but there have always been people within our community who have gone out and snarked and snitched for favors so they could step ahead and step on.
It ain't just our community. That's any community could do that. Any community could do that. That's a lot.
No, not gonna happen. So.
Oh, I'm leaving. I heard what I need to hear.
So that's it.
Oh. All right, so y'all heard that. And what you see on the screen right now is a photo of thinking black men. Thinking black men who took action, who went in that theater and confronted the situation. They didn't sit on YouTube talking to each other. All right? Trying to convince other black men to leave the community. That's what you're really doing. You cis-men brothers. Y'all doing the Crystal Carolson thing. You're doing exactly what Crystal Carolson was doing. Instead of her going and being happy, no. She wanted to create a whole apparatus to pull black sisters and say, look, you've been hurt by them black men ain't shit. Come on over here. I'm going to show you how to swirl. And you brothers are sitting over there doing the same fucking thing. You following the girls. These are thinking black men, not you. Because thinking black men, because we use the word men means action, in my opinion. Black men, we have a history of being men of action, doing whatever we have to do. Because that's what we did to survive, to get here. I just showed you what we came through. These are thinking black men. You understand me? You're not. You're not all. You're just a coward. You're a lost coward. You don't want to be black no more. You don't want to replace yourself. You don't want a black future. You want to end the race too. You want to finish the white man's work. And you call it being happy. That makes you happy, bro? That makes you proud? I'd rather die alone than be part of that master plan. I'd rather go out here and adopt black children and help raise the next generation. I'd rather go out here and mentor boys to get their money and get their paper up and start having an air of brotherhood, start working with each other and practice school economics, not sitting on fucking panels for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours talking about nothing but the girls. Talking about pussy. Ain't doing no building. Talking about where you can go to get some act right, where a girl can fall on your lap, where you ain't gotta work for nothing. No game having ass niggas. Y'all don't want to grow up. Y'all don't want to be men. Y'all got a hatred for yourselves, and you got a hatred for women in general. Because it's not about saving any woman that's out here right now. I would never tell you to put yourself in a bad situation or be used. I would never tell you to be a simp. No way. But what these brothers did wasn't simping. They were standing up for blackness. They confronted those people who made a horrible movie that they're trying to spread throughout fucking academia. They trying to put that shit in schools. And whenever they show up, we need to show up. to defend our ancestors that went through redlining and racial covenants, who went through being migrants, pushed around the country. We have a lot of disrespect going on, and we don't have black politics right now. Our black politics is fucked up, mainly because the men don't want to engage. We should be embarrassed as black men that the Democratic Party and other factions keep trying to come through our women, you know what I mean, and calling that the black vote. We don't want to lead. Leadership is not easy. Leadership is hard. But being a man is being about business. It's not a fucking emotional game, nigga. This is about business. This is about the future. Everything we do should be about the future. We had our teens. We had our 20s. It's time to build. Playtime is over. You gonna play with the rest of your life? Yeah, man, I'm gonna get my passport popping, go around the world, give me some pussy. Yeah, the girls over here cooperative, and yeah, man, look at the girls in DR. Yeah, the girls in Brazil, all hoes. Can't wait to go tongue a hoe in the mouth. Can't wait to go break bread with a slut. We're in whore culture. You ain't gotta leave America to get some butt. It's a fantasy. I'm living in Europe, man. I'm over here with brothers who are married to women of other races. You don't know how that shit go down. You don't know what it takes to live in another country and what you gotta give up to do this. All because you want your fucking feet washed. Shout out to C Boogie. All because you want your back rubbed? God damn, man. It's more to being a man than just getting pussy, man. And like I've always told you guys, man. Being successful and getting things going and having something going for yourself, it comes with it. I don't have a problem with getting sisters. And I got a PhD in niggatry, so I know how to deal with them and niggas. I know how to deal with the sisters and the brothers. It just comes with the territory. I don't see no excuse or no reason for me to vacate my race, man, after everything we've been through. So here we are in 2019, we're successful brothers, and now we're gonna jump ship instead of taking over the ship and understanding that it's gonna take generations and generations to fix this. It just is what it is. All right, so anyway. That's my spill on black politics and why we need black politics, because of what we came through. And we need to fix this for our future before this empire falls and somebody else takes over and we disappear. All right? So, the next thing I want to get to is I want to get to our girl Kamala Harris. Now, this one is going to be tailored to the sisters, because there are a lot of sisters right now on the internet who are mad because they know the charge that was led against Kamala Harris were black men. And again, another successful example of black politics. Black men getting involved and standing up. We spearhead this. Black men in the YouTube space, in social media, spearhead her situation. We aired all her laundry out. We had a million conversations with her, and we dragged sisters with us. And there was a handful of sisters that were down with it too. Shout out to Nicole's View. Shout out to Yvette Carnell. Shout out to Lisa Cabrera. Shout out to Taisha. Shout out to Nicole Younglove. Shout out to Mocha. There was a lot of sisters that called this shit out. But it was really headed by black men. We really got into politics. You say, hell no. There's a primary going on. This bitch, no. And there's another group that didn't support her. They didn't go against her, but they just didn't support her, and that was white women. See, black women watched too much goddamn Scandal and thought this shit was going to work. You thought you was going to come in with your power suit, with your white zaddy, and white America was going to accept that shit. Hell no. She was polling fourth in California. So not only black people weren't supporting her, the white people weren't supporting her. Mainly white women. You think white women want to see you with one of their rich men? Y'all sisters really think that's going to work? But here's the funny thing. This ain't really a sister. Yeah, she got a Jamaican dad and all that, man, but she ain't black like us. And we pointed that out. So look, Professor Black Truth, our brother Jason Black, Tariq, Tone Talks, Yvette, they've all washed this out. They've washed her out. They washed her out, soaked her in the water again, and wrung her out again. All right? But what I did not see was somebody playing what CNN tried to do. And I just want to give you an example of what happens in politics when we're not present. What they try to push on us. And what they try to push to our women. They try to get our women ready for a situation like this. With scandal and deception and Sleepy Hollow and, all those swirling flicks and all that. They try to get our sisters ready for this. Creating a space where it was okay for her to lust after white men in our face, being very disrespectful to black men. But I digress. The bottom line is they try to get her ready for Kamala Harris. And it didn't work because we stood up. Black men stood up. We weren't having it. We wasn't having it. She's not ADOS. She's not FBI. We just went this with Barack. Barack Obama was a man that was created by an African Kenyan man and a white woman from Kansas. He had no roots and no connection to slavery or Jim Crow or anything that happened in America. No connection. And we called him the first black president. And you see what he did while he was in office. He did nothing for us. Because they're not from us. They have the stain for us. Kamala Harris showed her the stain for us. Even though she tried to wrap herself in us. So real quick, I'm going to show you a quick 2-minute clip of what CNN tried to do. And I want you to hear something incredible. This is only about a minute. This is incredible. You got to hear this shit. Because this is what they were pushing. And a lot of people who are black, who call themselves black, that was Democratic shills, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. But I want black women really to hear this one. Check this out, ladies.
So the one thing about Kamala, she's consistent. She's the same person now as she was then. We got along great, we were together all the time. Let me take you back to kindergarten. There was a boy that had taken something I created, and I can't remember if we were doing like clay things or baking something or what have you, and took mine and messed it up, like threw it down, broke it. And so she stood up to him, took up for me. And as a result, he picked up either a rock or a brick and, hit her. And her mom had to come from work. She had to go to the hospital and get stitches, on and on. She's always been one that will stand up for what she thinks is right.
I feel a sense of responsibility to stand up and fight for the best of who we are. And I'm prepared to fight, and I know how to fight.
I love this one too. So this was 1988. This is Kamala here, her mom Shamala, her sister Maya.
So Kamala was...
Hold on, I want to show y'all something. Hold on. I want to show y'all something. All right, so in this photo, before we go any further, because I want y'all to really hear what this woman says in a minute. But in this photo, I want to show y'all something. In the middle, in the blue, that's Kamala's mother. A whole Indian woman. She has no lineage here. She's from India. She's from India, all right? She's not born here, none of that. She's from India. Her parents from a high class in India sent her ass over to UCLA, to California to go to college. The girl in the white outfit, that's Kamala. The one over here in the purple outfit dress is Maya, Kamala's sister. All right? The little child in the front, that we're going to get to in a minute, that is Maya's daughter. All right? That's Mina. All right? Mina Harris. And you got to wonder why her last name was Harris. And we're going to get to that in a minute when we talk about miscegenation. But anyway, that's them playing you, sisters. See, back in the 80s, black women were fly. Y'all were fly as fucking 80s. Black women were slim. They were fly as shit. They used to wear the jackets with the shoulder pads and, the crazy cut outfits and, the long pants, suits and long dresses with the heels. And they used to have these haircuts, the Anita Baker haircut. You know what I mean? Look at them. Like you, acting like you. They in California fly. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They ain't hurting. They ain't no ghettos. They chilling. You feel me? But look how they put your uniform on. I look how they act like you. These are not American black women, but they can come over here and act like you and dress like you and replace you, and you were willing to vote for that. But most importantly, I want you to hear what this lady says next. This is really incredible for me to hear, and I can't believe this shit wasn't played 100 times over. Listen to this.
Shamala, her sister Maya.
So Kamala was born in Oakland, but really was a child of Berkeley. She and her sister Maya were raised primarily by their mother, Shamala, who was a single mom after she separated from her husband, Donald Harris. And her mother, even though she was from India, felt that living in Berkeley, it was really important to raise Maya and Kamala as strong, powerful black women. To raise Maya and Kamala as strong, powerful black women.
That's it. That's all it took. It took her Indian mom to say, this is an Indian woman. I'm going to raise my daughters as strong, strong, powerful black women. Now, let me tell you something, man. The Harris family understood one thing. When they went to school, and it was around the civil rights movement back in the 60s, going to college out there, everybody was protesting, everybody was making it pro-black chic, civil rights chic. She got around some niggas, and that's what they identified with, because they couldn't identify with white. You know what I'm saying? So they knew if the kids were going to be anything in the future, they will have to be cloaked in us, cloaked in black women. They'll have to wear the black woman's uniform. That's why when she finished raising them in that suburb in California, moved them, she moved them to Canada, raised them there for a while, and it was time for them to go to college. She sent her daughter to a historical black college. If she's going to be anything in corporate America, government, whatever, it's going to have to be cloaked as a black woman. She looked black enough, she could pull it off, she could pull the sister girl thing off, and that's it. But we see what she did. You know what I mean? You know, when she got older, she got with herself with a white man. She didn't want to be black. You saw what she did when she was a prosecutor. She backed the fucking LAPD. She backed corrupt cops. She wanted to keep black people in jail. She wanted to send black mothers to jail for the truancy of their children. This is what she did. It's not fucking this is not a misinformation campaign. It's reality. And they try to stick this woman down our throats. And we said, hell no. See, while y'all was back watching Scandal, we was sitting back watching y'all watch Scandal. And we knew some shit like this was going to happen. And we were prepared for it. Even if she was ADOS, we were prepared for this Olivia Pope bitch to pop up. Or some zaddy shit. And we were going to carve her record up. We were going to do that. She's going to have the biggest white light under her. Because you're not entitled to our vote. But sisters, this woman decided to put your uniform on. And a lot of you, to this day, are still mad at black men and other black people for not voting, for not supporting Kamala Harris. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. To all you sisters at the root who frequent Roland Martin's show and all that kind of shit, and you wanted to support that half Indian, half Jamaican chick, fuck you. Y'all can go to hell. Y'all can go to hell. The fact that y'all was going to let this shit happen and y'all was going to support this is, I mean, some of you sisters, I got to ask, do y'all even have any fucking pride in your history? Now, if you watch the beginning of this, I've showed you what black women came through. Because I showed you what black people came through. I showed you black women and how hard they were working and what they had to live through. And if you watch the rest of those documentaries, you see even more how tough it was and what you came through as black women. And y'all just let anybody step in front of you? All you AKA chicks Y'all can go to hell. All you Greek letter fraternities that wanted to support her because she was a sorority chick, y'all can go to hell. Because y'all don't have no pride. This chick didn't even hire none of you motherfuckers when she was in California. Office full of white folk. Ain't hiring none of y'all. None of you ski-wee was hired and working for her when she was the district attorney over in San Francisco, or when she got to the big stage when she was the attorney general for the state. You know how much power AGs have? They can hire who the fuck they want to hire. Jesus Christ, man. Anyway, the reason why I just wanted to have my time to talk about Kamala Harris, because I don't think a lot of people saw this video where they actually had a spot on CNN where they wanted to do a background story on her, to promote her, to show her life and her upbringing and all that. And for these people to say on national TV, I mean, just imagine them saying these words. Kamala Harris' mother went to college, and she decided there, right then and there, that she was going to raise her daughters as strong, powerful Jewish girls. It would never happen. They would have never aired no shit like that. We live in a society that has no respect for us. And the real reason why they don't have respect for us is because we don't have respect for ourselves. That's real talk. I'm not taking away the offense from these fucking crackers out here, these racist bastards. No, I'm not taking that off the table. But what I am saying is that we don't have ourselves together. We don't hold the right things up. We don't care about the right things. We don't value the right shit. There's no fucking way in the world this woman shouldn't even gotten as far as she got. She should never have made it to that stage. Because the Democratic Party should have known better. But they don't know better. But they're going to learn better now. So all you brothers who are SYBM and all you sisters who want to swirl, you're not participating in your future. You're just not. The real movement right now is economics and politics. That's what rules everything. All this other shit y'all talking about is nothing. It means nothing. It's bullshit. Jesus, boy. So, that's all I'm going to say about now about Kamala. Good riddance. Thank you for showing us how you failed, because that was a horrible campaign. $36 million, and couldn't even make it to a goddamn primary. That's horrible. Anybody speaking her name right now is a fucking idiot. She's horrible. She doesn't even deserve to be supported. You understand? Take color out of it. She's a horrible candidate. Period. Had no message. Arrogant as fuck. Trying to be sister girl and haughty and sassy. Trying to mimic you, sisters. Trying to be like you. Playing a part. You should be insulted. Bye-bye, Kamala. But before you go, let's talk about miscegenation. Now, these brothers are out here on YouTube, and these sisters running around here with the swirl shit. You know, it made me think about miscegenation. And what I see right now being practiced is voluntary miscegenation. Okay? Where we're now going to seek out other races of people to whiten ourselves up. We don't want to be black no more. Period. And there's no way around that. You can't say you want to be black and then you don't want to create a black child. And I'm not saying that you have proximity to a white man or a white woman and you fell in love with somebody you worked with. You know what I mean? That's proximity. It's going to happen. As races work together and live together, they're going to mix. I'm talking about you brothers and sisters who are actively looking to hop the fence. You're making your mission. And to make it your mission, you got to announce it. So you announce it by putting down your own kind. So if you're a black woman, you're putting down black men. If you're a black man, you're putting down black women. All right? That's what's happening right now. It is. It is what it is. There's no denying it now. We got enough live streams. We got enough footage to pull up to show the fuckery on both sides. And I can't rock with it because one of the biggest things we complained about when the Manosphere was going at Crystal and Carrison was her throwing black men under the bus. She would get on there with other content creators, other black men hating females, and throw us completely under the bus with her rhetoric and bullshit like that. And she was doing that in front of white men. Married to a white man, got white men on her page, white men on her Facebook page, white men in her chat rooms, and they sitting up there on these live streams shitting on black men, and we called that shit out. And one of our main gripes was, well, if you over there, you hop the fence, bye, bitch. Why the fuck you keep speaking our name out the mouth? Why was you crying when that white boy turned bad on you in that live stream, and then you want a black man to protect you? You see what I'm saying? We called out all of that shit. Right? It was called out by that black manosphere. Now, I'm going somewhere with this. All those brothers, the leading content creators at that time, you called out that shit. But now look at you. Look at you. And look at you and look at your minions. Doing the same thing that we called her out for. If you brothers want to hop the fence, before I go any further with this miscegenation piece, if y'all brothers want to hop the fence, be like my homeboy at work. My homeboy at work, all he care about is white girls and Porsches. So when I go in his office, all he got on the screen is Porsches and white girls. He don't talk about black women at all. He ain't got nothing to do with no black women. He like Tate Diggs with the shit. Excuse me, sir. Here's a new scarf. It's burgundy and brown. Made in Italy. Oh, that's beautiful. That's nice. Does it come in white? Excuse me, sir. Here's a double layer chocolate cake. Oh, it looks good. Looks delicious. Does it come in white? That's what that nigga's on. He's on that shit. You understand me? Unapologetically about it. And he never sits down and talk about black women. You don't bash black women all day. Because he sincerely don't give a fuck about black women. He's about getting, he got a white girlfriend from Germany and a white girlfriend from Italy. He got an Italian girlfriend and a German girlfriend, and he drives a Porsche 911. That's the shit he on. You understand me? Just like Tate Diggs. Tate Diggs, he don't care about nothing unless it's white. But you don't see him out here putting black women down. He's gone. But when I go to your fucking YouTube channels, all I see is black women on the panels. Y'all still want to converse with the black women. Where's the Beckys? Because y'all can't get them. It's like you couldn't get black women. Look, there's nerdy black women out here. All black women ain't fucking Felicias and Keishas and, you know what I mean, and Tanyas and Tashas. No. Some of these black girls out here, Abigails. You understand me? And they white as shit and corny as shit. They had fucking cosplay and they, you know what I mean? You got a whole genre of sisters out here who are on your level, who are your speed. But you just don't want black women to just say that. And just move the fuck on. Don't even say it. Just go get other women. But y'all here to help destroy the community. And you want to bring other brothers with you. You want to practice miscegenation, which is a movement of inbreeding to destroy a specific race. So let me show you how it works. Let me give you a quick example before I go into the Harrises. You got the Obamas. Now, Obama, he had no choice but to pick up that black woman. He couldn't show it with Becky. Black women wouldn't vote for him, which is their hypocrisy, because they were willing to vote for Kamala. A lot of sisters showed their true colors with that one. But I digress. The bottom line is that Obama couldn't show it with Becky, but he's half white. So he has one daughter that's light skinned, one is brown skinned. But those two girls are dating white boys. And they're going to have lighter skinned children, just like Serena did. Serena's dark chocolate. Look how light her baby is. You understand me? And then those children are going to get with other white children. All right? And they're going to look like Klay Thompson. And then Klay Thompson type look is going to go get with another white person. Or they're going to look like Blake Griffin, and they're going to get with another white person. That's called miscegenation. But it's not forced this time. It's voluntary. See, in Brazil, they imported, 100 years ago, they imported white men from Portugal to come and mix it with the black women. And in fact, here's a famous portrait of that. This was what it was. So here you got a black woman that obviously had a white man as a father, as a mate. This is her daughter that she produced. This is the white man she produced with, and this is the white child. See what I'm saying? It's called miscegenation. And that's why the Brazilians have so many light-skinned women down there with big asses. You know what I'm saying? They're mixed like a motherfucker. But it's practicing miscegenation, and they practice white supremacy in Brazil. They treat the dark-skinned people down there like shit. This is a global fight. We live in an anti-black world. Where the mutated people in the world, they want to erase the original man. They want to get rid of the prototype. They want to replace it, or at least subjugate it. Because they still need our genetic makeup. That's what the royal families are doing. That's why they took Meghan Markle in. She's like an octoroon. And they'll take that. They want to ingest a little bit of black genetics. And for the next 80, 100 years, you're not going to see another one. And then 80, 100 years from now, they're going to ingest another one. You know what I mean? Because they need that, because they'll die off. They know the power of the Homo sapien, the original man, the genetic material that we bring to the table. That's why back in the slavery days and even after that, and even to now, they're still snatching our organs because we have the best organs. We have the best genetic material. They'll take one of your young people, man, and snatch him and take his kidney and heart in a minute. They so racist, but they'll put us inside of them to live. Now, I got way off course on that one, but the bottom line is this, man. You cats want to practice miscegenation. So let's go back to Kamala. Kamala is the daughter of an Indian woman and a father who was a mulatto Jamaican. They call them coolies. And back in the day, they used to be part of the oppressor class of the dark black Africans that on Jamaica. They used to, some of them even had plantations. Some of them even slave masters. And that's where her lineage comes from. Her father comes from that lineage, and her mother comes from the upper class of India. She's not an untouchable, where the darker Indians are. The darker Indians are down at the bottom. They're called the untouchables. So she's from upper classes in two societies. She's from the upper class of Jamaica, and she's from the upper class of India. She has nothing to do with the history of African Americans. Nothing. Completely nothing. Howard, that's it. Her going to Howard. But I'm going to tell you something. White people go to Howard. There's white kids that go to Howard. So now they black. So anyway, that's her makeup. That's the same thing for her sister. Her sister's the same as her. Her and her sister were, the result of her Jamaican father, Coolie, and her mother, who's a Brahmin, Indian. You know what I mean? And those two people moved to Cali to go to school. That's where they met, and they produced two children. Okay? Now, let's go to Maya. Maya, that's her sister. Let's go back to Kamala. Kamala is actually 55 years old now, I believe. Kamala is 55. Yeah, she's 55. I was right. And Maya is 52. These sisters are not spring chickens. So Maya is born in 1967. Okay? This is how far up they go back. Her husband is this guy. They got married in the late 90s. All right? But this is the girl. Remember that little girl that was in that picture? This is the daughter. This is Mina. This is Maya's daughter. See, Maya had a baby when she was 17 years old by some white dude. I don't know if it was a white Mexican or a white man, but it was a white dude. And it was an out of wedlock birth, you know what I mean? And I'm not even sure if she knew who the daddy was. She probably did, but whoever he wasn't around. He didn't stay around. So much for black men being deadbeat daddies. But I digress. So she's the product of a deadbeat daddy who was white. And that's her. All right? So this is your black woman. The girls that were raised as black women, this is what one of them produced. Okay? And then she got with another racial ambiguous person who was on the light side. I'm not sure if he was a white man or he's a biracial himself. And these are the children they produced. These are her two children. These two children you see here, because they be considered black, because we got a lot of black people who practice the one drop rule. When they decide to get into politics, they're going to be over you. When they decide to get into the corporate world, they're going to be over you. When they decide to take a seat or take a scholarship or whatever at Howard, it'll be before you. This is going to be the new black. Your Zach Levines, your Blake Griffins, your Steph Curry's, your Klay Thompsons, that's all black now. That's the new black. Your Aaron Gordon's, that's the new black. You understand me? And they're either going to get with other light-skinned people like them, or they're going to get with white girls. As a matter of fact, I think Blake Griffin has a baby by a white woman. Yeah, he does. So, those children are black. Do you understand what I'm saying? Miscegenation is something that was put in play a long time ago. They created a mulatto class to actually be a buffer class for us. You see it in Africa, South of Africa. They don't even play like that. You have black Africans, you have the mulatto class, you have colored, and you have white. They understand that these people are racially mixed. They're not from the soil. Now, in African America, we got away with that. We said, look, there were light-skinned people on the plantation, light-skinned people went to Jim Crow. Even though a lot of them were put on top of us, we let a lot of that go. And we said we're all African Americans. We're all descendants of slaves. We're all descendants of American slaves. You understand me? But this is what you guys want to practice. Y'all want to practice miscegenation. You don't want to produce yourself, which is really self-hate. It is. Now, am I against light-skinned people? No. Because in fact, when I see a light-skinned girl, I think she need to get with a brown-skinned man. She need to get with the darkest penis she can get. You know what I'm saying? So we can keep it even over there. Keep it pancake color at least. So we can stay black or stay what we are. Because in America, we were mixed up from the beginning. We were given their last names. Their men for 100 years had sex with our women. A lot of light-skinned people like the Tom Joyners and his lineage, they weren't produced by black men getting with white women. That's all white men. Black men until the 60s and 70s weren't allowed to touch white women. All this mixed racing that we're doing is new. Sisters have been, been fodder for white men when it comes to that. White men been getting at black women. That's been going on for a long time. So now with all this swirl talk, and there's a lot of people who think miscegenation is the answer to world peace, and it's not, because white people are still going to practice white supremacy. And light-skinned people are going to practice light-skin supremacy. Just like they do in South America, just like they do in South Africa, just like they do in India, just like they do in America. Like they do in the Caribbean. They do it everywhere. So miscegenation seems to be the order of the day. Voluntary miscegenation. And people are raising their hands to wash their history. They want to complete this picture. They want to complete the white man's plan. The reason why you saw in that 1960s clip that I showed earlier, you saw so many black people in the 1960s so dark, is because of segregation. In a weird way, segregation preserved blackness in America. It did. Because of the violence and the mentality and the politics of the early 1900s up into the 60s, we weren't allowed to even look at white people. Now, occasionally a black woman would get raped by a white man, but it's funny to me how, like you saw that sister in the clip earlier was talking about the history of abuse and basically the history of abuse at the hands of black men, as if we're worse than white men. They're going to just completely wash out the abuse of white men and what they've done to us over the years. How they used to rape black women. They used to have gangs of white dudes who used to rape black women. Oprah told a story about something that happened in her family like that. But now everything's about hating a black man. Look, I don't know what y'all on, but I can't rock with it. I know this is a long video. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. And I want to thank everybody for coming through to watch this video. I told you this was going to be a deep video. We was going to talk about some stuff, man, but this miscegenation, this voluntary miscegenation, and that's how they got this. They manufactured this. You understand me? Brazil used to have the most black slaves in the Western Hemisphere. At 10 million at one point. And look what they created. They forced it. Look at this right here. Look at this. Miscegenation. She don't want to reproduce herself. She don't. You understand me? And now we got black men who don't. This shit is sad, man. This shit is sad. And it puts me in an awkward position because it's like, Jay Sean, why are you sitting here, being racist? I'm not being racist, man. I want to preserve mine. I didn't work all my life, to dig out of what my people dug out of the ghettos and, the slums. I come from the crack 80s. I didn't dig out of that to make everything that I've made and turn it over to another group of people. I didn't come to pour my resources into another community or into another family. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm on post and I'm fighting a long war. We're going to preserve ours over here. Or you're going to preserve yours. There's already too much damage done. Now we're going to voluntarily do it with no plan. We're black people, man. There's no way around that. You black all over the world. Everybody sees you that way, whether you like it or not. And when you have no respect for each other and your woman has no respect for you, brother, wherever you go in the world, no one respects you. You can't get respect if you don't have a people that has some kind of code of conduct. You know what I mean? They're like you personally, but you won't have no power, man. You won't have no say. That's not how the world works. China is respected because they're Chinese. Japanese are respected because they're Japanese. Koreans are respected because they're Koreans. Sikhs are respected because they were Sikhs. You understand me? You brothers need to get it together, man. Get off this miscegenation bullshit. You know, right? Stop it. Let's get back to doing what we gotta do as black men. And all I'm gonna say is, if y'all wanna destroy your lineage, y'all go ahead. I can't do it. I'm gonna stand in the gap. So with that being said, coming this Thursday, tomorrow night, I'll be on X's channel. We're gonna talk about some real shit. The promo will be in the description box. Friday night, I'm going to do a real live. I'm going to do a live stream. It's going to be fun. We'll talk about some fun shit on Friday night. Saturday night, I'll be over there on Maximum Overdrive with the ladies, getting interviewed by them. And Sunday night, I might pop up somewhere special. I'm not sure yet. But y'all come on through the X's channel tomorrow night, the Prophet of Thought series. Me and X will be up there talking. I'm going to invite my brother, the other Ray J, up there. And we're going to talk about some real man shit. And like I said, a lot of brothers are not going to like what I got to say, but I don't care. I don't care who I turn off. Because my lineage matters more to me. You understand me? And a black future matters more to me than being liked right now. I'm going to stand in the gap. And I'm going to keep fighting and pushing for a black future, which is going to require black economics, black politics. We should have had our own party by now. We need to get on that. That shit needs to get done. All you niggas sitting around talking about pussy all day, that's whack. That's whack and it's weak. That lets me know you're not building. You probably got regular jobs and you just come to YouTube to talk bullshit. Look, I'm telling you right now, that's whack to me. You look crazy. I know you in your little bubble, in your little church, and you don't see it, but it looks crazy. All right? Because a lot of these red pill white dudes out here that I ran into at the courthouse, they had me standing in front of the Judiciary Committee giving testimony. They about that life. They trying to get laws changed. Those thinking black men that walked up to that theater, they trying to make a difference. And all the brothers who stood up on the internet to push back against Kamala Harris, that was black politics. We could be successful with this. We don't want to try. We got to try though. We got no choice. And we got nothing to lose. So brothers, with that being said, I want to say thanks for coming through the stream. Remember, business is life and life is business. So handle yours. This is Jay Sean. I'm out.